we set up speakers that will obviously come and help us. And the first one that will go is Mr. Ndela Sichizia, who's going to talk about an influencer as a brand. So let's just welcome Mr. Ndela Sichizia.
All right. Good evening. Hope everyone has had a good day. All right. Much thanks to every one of you for sparing your time to come and listen to the little that we can share from our experiences and the journeys that we've all taken. But also much thanks to Alfred. I think he had so many able and much more experienced people that he could have chosen to take the presentation this evening. But I'm indeed grateful that he chose me to be one of them. It's not a small thing. I take it with a lot of gratitude. I think from the advert that you could have seen, you saw the little bit of my background. I am Ndela Sichizia. Some of you were meeting for the first time. Some of you are hearing the name for the first time. But because we're speaking on the issue of brand or an influencer as a brand, I'll give you my very, very short story. You know, there's a time, I'm a marketer. There's a time I know that a lot of my introductions would have to go with, oh, my name is Ndela, I work for Barclays. Or my name is Ndela, I work for MultiTrust. Now I work for Atlas Mara. So, you know, there's a lot of recognition sometimes you get, and you get lucky because you're working for a big brand. It works for you. But if you're going to be an influencer, as I want to believe every one of you seated here, there's a point when you need to realize that the brand that's going to be bigger is my personal brand. I know the brand of my employer, my partner, my spouse. There's got to be a personal and unique brand that you're going to develop, especially if you're going to be an influencer. So I deliberately and consciously started saying, there's got to be a point when I should stop saying Ndela marketing manager. Then some, oh yeah. So that product is still in the making. I still got to ride on my employers to get a little bit of identity. But it does work when you consciously say, this is what I need to do to make my own brand. So this is what I'm going to take you in my short discuss this evening to say, how do we create a brand, who's an influencer, and all that jazz. But have you ever been to a premiere of a movie that's highly acclaimed, and you come out of there thinking, what was that all about? Have you ever been? When you feel like there's so much buzz, so much hype, or you've ever been to a place where you thought this is a powerful conference, men's conference, it's going to change your life, you'll never be the same, they're powerful motivational speakers. And you know, motivational speakers, they know what they are doing. They say the word power with power, so that you believe that it's power, you know. So it's exciting. Then you come and, once you start knowing them, you say, you know, that guy actually is a bluff, you know. Just read some book and, you know, so these things you start speaking to what you know, what you live, and what you exhibit. And that's how you start creating the right brand. So even as an influencer, you don't want to call yourself I'm an influencer and you can't influence anyone. You share something, you post something, you've got 8 likes. 3 from your cousins, 2 from your siblings. So these things, you've got to be very deliberate and very, it's got to be a plan. I have no apologies about it. If you're going to call yourself an influencer, take it as very serious business. So influence comes from those things. That's just how I summarize it. So wherever you are, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, or whatever, or what, even in a community, do you know that even people like Mahatma Gandhi were influencers? Whoever we can think of. There were so many, it's just that they come in different names, activist, what, MP, but they kind of hold some influence. But influence comes from that. So one is it's the 4 types of power. Moral power is one thing you need to have for you to develop a very strong brand as an influencer. If I'm going to be talking about child activism, and that's the route that I choose to take as an as an influencer. I cannot be known to be the guy who batters children. I cannot be known to be a guy who father children out of wedlock and you don't take care of them because you don't have the moral right, you don't have the moral power. I cannot start speaking about drunkenness when I'm the last guy in the bar. You don't have the moral right and it doesn't give you power. So when you are planning your influencer route, you need to say, where do I have my best standing? Those things become very important. So the moral power, the moral right is given by your personal character. If I'm a man of many women or many wives, how can I be condemning adultery? Because there's still somebody who's going to know you for who you are. So for you to have the right kind of influence and wield the power of an influencer, you've got to have the moral power. Mental power is really the knowledge. You've got to know the stuff that you talk about. I shouldn't just choose. Personally, I mainly talk about marketing, I love branding, I talk about personal development. If you will ever find me talking about soccer, maybe it will be on a light note. Maybe I'm joking or teasing somebody or just expressing an opinion. But I'm not great at soccer. I don't know much, you know. So, but I need to have the knowledge, to have the authority to comment or to talk about or to influence, to draw attention of people. The mental power comes from what you've learned in your school, what you learn when you are online, what you read, what podcasts are you checking, what YouTube videos are you watching, who's your network, what you do after 5, what you do when you wake up in the morning. You need to constantly feed your mind for you to have knowledge. Because if you're going to stand before people and say, I'm an authority, I'm an influencer, I'm a brand ambassador about maybe albinism. I know you know that albinism is Moabi and yeah, these are marginalized. You know, you've got to know what challenges do they face? What personal issues do they go through? You've got to know that. So you've got to have the mental power. The third one is the physical power. As an influencer, to grow a brand, the physical power has to be built. This is given naturally, but you can also build. For example, if I am tall, I'm light, I can command some attention when I enter a room because my physical build allows me maybe to be seen. But there's a person like FTJ Chidwa, the late. He was, I don't know how you measure it, but he had presence. You see that, eh? When he enters the room, when you have a discussion with him, you have any interaction, he had presence. So you do the physical power, but the thing, your character, how you greet people, how warm you are, how you make memorable meetings with people you met for 3 minutes, for 2 minutes, how you dress, how you smell, how you talk, how engaging you are. All those things shouldn't be by accident. The physical power should be created, should be crafted. You can do something about it. You don't have to be white, you don't have to be colored, you don't have to be with long hair. Some things naturally do help. Obviously, a very pretty girl will command attention, keeps, people will turn around. Those things, they help, But there's things that you can cautiously and actively do about it. You don't have to be the prettiest girl. It's the content that comes out of your mouth when you open it. So physical is the things that you can control. You're going to be an influencer, you are in a crowd, people want to hug you, you extend your hand, then these things you need to be very, very much aware of. I'm dealing with fellow human beings and I've got to be lovable when I'm interacting with people. The last one is the spiritual power. So many of us have heard of the supernatural powers by CO1 and it's some power. But put it simply, the spiritual power you need to have an influence is your faith. What makes you believe in things? What I'm sure maybe Oscar will talk about what made him believe maybe years back that one day I'm going to build the biggest and greatest radio station in Zambia. He said the faith, the spirit that moves in you, the audacity of your faith is going to be strong. But there's also the actual spiritual power that those who are believers say, God has created me a special person. I'm unique and great. I've got all the potential to change the world. You've got to tap into that power that gives you authority to believe that I can be who I want to be. So if you sitting there, you are an influencer, you want to be one, there's got to be something that convinces you that I can speak to people and people can listen to me. So that's what gives you, when you just master those, work on them, you find that you will start seeing yourself in a different light, because when you work on your moral power, your mental power, your physical and your spiritual, you start realizing that something different is beginning. When you take full control of that, you are going to have real power. So I will move into the next step of how this influence now can be created into a brand. I think all of us know. Okay, maybe we can just wait a little bit. All of us know what a brand is, what a brand speaks about. At this level, I see every one of you, you're not at a level where we need to be picking a textbook definition of what a brand is. But a brand is simply something that has its own life. And if something has got to have its own life, it's got to be original. Do we all know that guy? Sorry, my name is appearing there, I'm not the one. We know that guy? Oh, does anybody who doesn't know that guy? Anybody who doesn't know that guy? Okay, sure. And I also wanted to get that. So this guy is, I think his real name is Mr. Forbes, Leonardo or something Forbes, AKA. Not actually the name is AKA. It's Mr. Forbes, AKA. So this is some very arrogant guy, very talented. He's the kind of a Ronaldo who's like full of himself. He knows his stuff. So I picked that one as a brand, as an influencer, as an ambassador for a reason. Because typically we would want an influencer that's all the positive, the nice values, you know, as an example, maybe a pompy kind of good guy, you know, nice guy. But this guy is on the other side. He's a musician, he's a rapper, he's a hip-hop artist from South Africa, multi-award winning. But this guy, there's a story. I met him last year in NSA, and he was talking about branding. And he says, my brand wasn't attractive for a very long time, because he's a guy who's going to talk, you know, I know women love me, I know girls want me, I'm going to do whatever I want. He will speak like that. He has no apologies. So for a long time, that brand maybe could not be sold. But there came a point where, because he remained consistent, he remained original, he remained the cocky guy, some of the brands that we manage sell alcohol, sell cigarettes, sell products, sell events that are not just for the holy people or for the great guys. If you sell alcohol, you know that it's the people that are going to imbibe, going to get high, it's the youth, it's the young at heart, it's the vibrant. So, Cruz Vodka signed up and even created, I think, is it not a version, what do you call it? A flavor of, I think, watermelon Cruz Vodka. With his initials there, he became an ambassador. Reebok also signed him up. So, what kind of people drink or take vodka? It's the youth, it's the young, and those are his fans. So he remained consistent, he remained original, there came an organization that said, you know, we can actually work with this guy. And the results are phenomenal after that. So you've got to be original. I have been with a bald head from high school until the natural one actually started combining with the hair. But people have never known me to have hair. I keep it like that. There are the things that you get to start cautiously doing because you're comfortable in it. If I know that most of the hip hop artists in America, in the Western world, are going to do big chains, gold teeth, what? Don't do that if you're going to be a hip hop artist here. Just be comfortable in what you want. Create your own brand. So a brand that's going to be big is one that's not a copycat. So you got to plan, you got to be audacious, and I talk about it, giving an example to what AK is. The guy you would think is arrogant, but because he is conscious that these are the people I'm going to speak to, they are there. The people who are going to love my pride or my kind of doing, my character, they are there. And business goes around like that. And it's got to be very consistent. I cannot today want to be a marketer, tomorrow I want to talk about social issues, tomorrow there's got to be a very narrow line of things. You make two, three things, one, two things, but you cannot be everywhere. Today I want to talk about marriages, the other day I'm talking about politics, I'm talking about, you've got to have a fine line of where you find your strength. That's how you build a strong brand. It's the consistency. You can do the last one. So consistency becomes very strong. I'm sure that this guy will all know. So once you build a very good, strong brand, or when you are building a brand, the results of the things, the end game should be, what's the impact that you're going to have? So brand value, the one I was talking about, AKA, he created value in himself, saying, I'm not this other guy, I'm not Casper Nyovest, I'm not Pompey, I'm not Makitu, but I'm going to be Slap D. And some of the things that you see in people like AKA, maybe you see them in Slap D or XYZ, because they've created brands. So there are some brands that are not going to associate with them, but you've got to create value that you demonstrate. So that value is in the things that you project. So if you love children, we talk about children, you find that naturally organizations that want to do programs, events about children, they will find you because you created value. The people who are following you, who are making reference to you, they will recommend you because you created and demonstrated value. And the brand has got to have a long life. You can't be a one-hit wonder. You can't be a star for 2-3 years and boom. Sometimes we avoid speaking to people, mentioning people, but I want you to kind of understand that there are certain brands that you create and they stick longer. I'll give one a guy as an example, Exile. Exile's music was good, is good. Exile, wherever you see him performing, he's still performing his former songs, not the new songs that he's doing now. So he created a very strong brand as Exile. Obviously, there are justified and good reasons why he stopped singing that kind of music, but that's a brand that has outlived and probably will outlive. We're still going to sing Siku and all those nice songs because that brand was strong. So even you in your planning, you say, in my 20s or maybe in my teens, I'm on campus, I'm influencing this. You got to plan your brand that when I move into my 20s, into my 30s, who am I going to speaking to? Because if I was influencing a certain caliber of people in my 20s, I know that if I need to be speaking to the people in the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, I've also got to be aware that the demographics change, the interests change. So for you to be a long-standing brand, have your audience in mind all the time. The last one is association, which I've already talked about. A guy like Mandela, when I looked at power, he spoke to the 3 or the 4 areas of power. When he went to the London School of Law, he was the first South African to get a degree, open a law firm, because he needed to have the mental power so that he can represent his people. He became an icon, he became an ambassador and all that. So the story, obviously, we know how his whole life, he was consistent in what he was doing. The prizes, the awards that he's won, the story is endless. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are going to build a brand, you need to know just those 3 things. Where does influence come from? It's from power. Where does power come from? From those 4 areas. How do you do your branding? Be original, be consistent, plan it, work it out, and the impact that you should demonstrate value, should be able to outlive your time on earth, and people should be able to see why they can associate with you. It's not just you taking proposals. No, brother ambassador, I can do this for you, I can do. People should be able to find you where you are. Thank you very much.
can be louder than that.